A vote against this bill is a vote for the continuation of Obamacare. It's that simple. It's that clear. So says our next guest, Representative Robert Pittenger from North Carolina's 9th District, joining us here on POTUS. He tweets at Rep. Pittenger. Congressman, welcome back. Thanks for being here today.
Happy Friday, Tim. Good to talk to you.
Not hearing from a lot of Republicans. We've invited many to be on this week, but it seems like right now there's just a lot of uncertainty. But you don't have any of that uncertainty, and why not?
Well, I mean, I've clarity in what needs to be done. I mean, I'm a great believer in Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan would take 80% of a loaf and declare victory and move on. He was a consensus builder. We can come to the table with our own beliefs and views and ideology and see the life from our own prism, or you can recognize that we have a body of people in our own Republican conference who come from different constituency groups, different demographics, rural and urban, and some of them have a lot more seniors, and some of them have a lot more poverty. So you have to come with understanding that you've got to build a framework that is acceptable to everyone. And this is an outstanding bill. For anyone to say it's not a conservative bill is just nonsense. It's very much so. It eliminates the mandates, as you know. It reduces the taxes by over $1 trillion. That's the equivalent of reducing the corporate tax rate by 10%. And for those of us who don't want to fund Planned Parenthood with taxpayer money, there's $400 million. So if you're going to vote against our bill, then you're really voting to support the ongoing Obamacare package.
Well, you mentioned a conservative bill, and it seems to me that a lot of the opposition has come from the Freedom Caucus. The leadership of that is one of your fellow North Carolinians, Mark Meadows. They have real problems with it. Now, they think they can work it out. What's your sense of whether or not they're going to get what they want? Because the other side of the coin is those who say that, this is a little bit too harsh. It takes too many things away from too many people. So in this case, although you do have most of the division who's within the party, unlike under Ronald Reagan, when typically it was R's versus D's and you take what you can get, but now it's within your own party. And I wonder, can you get them together?
Yes, sir. I think that's been the challenge. We thought we were there, and then unfortunately, the Freedom Party folks had other ideas, and in essence, you would say, move the goalpost. And there are other issues that they wanted to engage in, and that really was disconcerting to people who live in districts that it affected them. So, the key is getting us to 216 votes. And when you displace some people, when you keep adding on certain views, and I'm a conservative. I was very conservative in the state Senate. I was the most conservative. They ranked me 2 different times. But you have to come and govern. You just can't come with your ideology and believe that, I'm going to have it my way or the highway.
Well, and to that point, President Trump has said that. He pretty much has laid it down, saying, according to what we're reading reports of, Mick Mulvaney has said, the president says, look, you guys vote for this today or else I'm walking away from any kind of repeal of Obamacare. Do you think that that's the right way to do things?
Well, sure. When you negotiate in good faith, there's been 100 members of Congress who have gone over to the White House to see him and or Vice President Pence. He has been incredibly engaged. And I've been in the real estate business myself for over 25 years before this, and you can only negotiate so far, then you're willing to walk away. I mean, there's nowhere else. There's no more room to try to package this. He's gone. We've done as much as we can to keep everybody together, all the cats herded together in the same room at the same time, agreeing to something. And we had a framework we thought was agreeable. That's why we're moving toward the vote, and that's why he thought we were headed to the vote, because there seemed to be consensus. And then all of a sudden, wait a minute, we want some other things now. And that's just not, you're not operating in good faith. And so that's why he said, hey, time's up.
Again, Robert Pittenger with us, Congressman from North Carolina, representing the 9th District. In his recent piece in the Wall Street Journal, Repeal and Replace, What Would Reagan Do? Reagan's bold tax reform, along with significant regulatory relief, awakened a sleeping giant to an unprecedented economic recovery. And he talks about the compromising with Speaker Tip O'Neill. To that point, Congressman, in 1984, after the election, when Ronald Reagan won in a landslide around the country, the Democrats still had a very, very strong control over the House of Representatives. I think they had 253 seats, 182 for the Republicans.
Sure.
And Yeah, in other words, it still was a pretty strong majority. So wasn't he forced to negotiate in a different way from what President Trump is trying to do now? It's a different dynamic, it seems to me.
Well, you're still negotiating. People have to be willing to give up something to come to the table and to find consensus. And if you're committed to just viewing life through your own prism and I want it my way, we have to be willing to say, hey, I acknowledge that there are other people out there who have a different view or have a different constituency group, and so I'm willing, for the good of the cause, to move forward and to yield 20% of what I'd like to see happen.
But I hear what you're saying, but then President Trump is saying it's my way or the highway. I'm not hearing that compromise in what he is saying.
No, sir. Reality was he has brought everyone together. He tried the best that he can to bring everyone together, to get them to give. You can't, if you give any more to the Freedom Caucus folks, what they want, then you're going to lose other people who have that their views are inconsistent with what they want to do. And so he doesn't see any more room to play on the field. He's looked at all the pieces of the puzzle, and this is the only way you can put it together. If you're going to displace somebody else, if you try to allow more interest by the Freedom Caucus and what more things that they want. And I'd like to see a lot of things that they want too. Frankly, as I said, I'm very conservative. But you have to govern. And governing requires you to build consensus and to work with other people at the table.
Congressman, I want to ask you, do you think it would have been easier to negotiate had there still been earmarks? I know you're conservative. When Speaker Boehner said it was one of his goals to get rid of those, and they did. A lot of conservatives were very happy about that. On the other hand, it is one of those little things you can have as a bargaining tool. What do you think? Yeah,
there's good and bad. Two sides of that coin. Earmarks, you can surely get people across the line, but then it's the temptation for them to be exploited and abused. And it's just unfortunate. You can't do some things to get people's attention. So in all, it was a bad policy that hurt more than it helped.
So what happens today, Congressman? We got a vote. It's scheduled, after 2:00? Take us through what we should be watching for today.
We'll have a real vote here about 10 o'clock or so this morning, and then mid-afternoon. I think it's going to be probably after 3 or 4 myself, but we'll have our vote up or down to vote to replace Obamacare with this bill or keep the status quo. How in the world can you keep the status quo? Aetna says it's on a death spiral. Humana's going to pull out in 18. 30 of your counties only have one carrier. North Carolina is a state that basically just has one carrier. It's 5 states. That's all they have. It is collapsing on its own weight. It never was actuarially sound, and yet that's the alternative. So to me, it's a black and white thing. You either take this reform and run with it, and it opens you up to more possibilities of additional reforms as we look at the 1,200 different rules that HHS has that Dr. Price can address, and look at what we can do to open up markets through selling across state lines, just like how we buy car insurance in the third phase of this legislative process. So there's, this is step one, but we can't go to, if you call it first base, we can't go to second, third base until we get to first base. But if we don't make first base, then the rest of it shuts down. We will see how it plays out during the day today. Congressman Pittenger, thank you for joining us on POTUS today. Always good to talk to you. Have a great day. You too. Representative Robert Pittenger, Republican from North Carolina's 9th District, his piece in the Wall Street Journal. And he tweets at Rep. Pittenger. Rep.